The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. Lock in. It's 2026 and your business ideas no longer belong on the back burner. And if I were to run it all back and start a business today knowing everything that I know, I would follow these exact steps. Hello all and welcome to Confessions of a Female Founder, a tell-all series where I share my experiences and advice as a 25-year-old business owner. If you're new here, my name's Katie. I'm the founder and inventor behind Veilstreet, a clothing brand that is redefining modest fashion with ease. I've been in the world of business since I was 16, so I'm a bit of a seasoned entrepreneur, but even with all those years under my belt, it is still a never-ending learning journey. In this series, I share the things that I do and don't know, my mistakes and proven strategies. As I always say, there is no one true guidebook to entrepreneurship. Every single day is on-the-job training, so why not achieve greatness together? Everyone wants to either start the next big business or they want to have a side hustle just to have that extra income, but people stop at overcomplicating the entire process. In today's video, we're going to be simplifying the exact things that you should be focusing on. Obviously, I come from a product-based business, which is typically the most challenging, but you can certainly apply this to all realms of business. These 10 steps are essential to follow, so let's hop right in. This is something you've heard time and time again, and that is to find the gap, find the blank space in your market, but I think people tend to overcomplicate this step. A lot of the times, the next big businesses are really simple ideas. They're just an element of something that previously existed, but was missing that little extra support. For example, my product, the hood job. Hoodies are an everyday basic that have existed for centuries. I call this a twisted basic or an elevated basic. Pretty much took something that existed and then I catered it to an underserved community. By adding something as simple as an elastic hijab, I turned it into an entire new invention. A lot of the times people will see my product and say, why haven't I thought of this? Or why hasn't this always existed? People forget that the best ideas are hiding in plain sight or in literal comment sections. I always say comment sections are free game, especially if there are complaints and concerns. The best way to find the gap in the market is one of two ways. I followed the personal pain point. I struggled with my hijab for years, and as someone who was overly ambitious, navigating school, growing my first business, I needed a piece of clothing that kept up with me, and I especially wanted to get through the day without needing to readjust and fix my hijab. The other way to find the gap in the market is through research. I recently saw a TikTok of someone saying that a billionaire was going through the airport with a notepad and she asked him what he was doing, and he said throughout his journey he was documenting his entire journey and looking for ways to improve it. Not to mention, some of the biggest businesses that exist today are the simplest ideas. Touchland, for example, the hand sanitizer company, I don't know the exact numbers, but I know they recently sold for billions. They put hand sanitizer, which we all know what that is, and they put it into a spray bottle. You don't really have to be Einstein to find the next big gap in the market, but you do need to actually take a step back and look at what's happening all around you. If you look at all the major businesses today, they are all piggybacking off of things that already exist. Uber is the middleman. They wouldn't exist if the car economy wasn't where it's at. Airbnb is also the middleman. They wouldn't exist if people didn't own homes. It really doesn't matter what route you're going, whether it's beauty, apparel, tech. It is simply finding what's missing or finding a way to make people's lives easier. And most importantly, if any of these things can somehow tie back to you, if you could be the story behind the product, it'll make it a lot easier to scale a company. Number two, you need to have founder market fit. And this literally piggybacks off the previous idea that I mentioned. A lot of times people are focused on product market fit. Having a very strong founder story pretty much builds a brand that sustains itself. People are investing in the person before they invest in the product. They want to understand why you exist. They want to know that they can trust the person that they're investing their dollars into. In the search of finding a gap in the market, it's in your best interest to find things that already align with you. What are things that you obsess over? What is something that you can talk about with ease? You can talk about it so confidently that you're seen as an expert. That way, when you bring in your product, you're a trusted source. Focus on your taste, your frustrations, your lived experiences. My entire brand, my entire product is based off of my frustrations and seeking ease. If you don't have personal interest and if you don't have a very strong origin story, you will burn out trying to force a solution that you aren't genuinely passionate about. The third step that I would follow, which is never talked about. If it has been talked about, I'll be surprised. But I mentioned this before in a TikTok. No one talks about it in the realm of business. That is to be chronically online. It is severely slept on. The reality is businesses who are not on social media will not succeed. It is essential for you as a founder, not just your future hire for marketing or social media, but for you as the founder to also be in the know when it comes to social media. No one knows your brand more than you, and no one knows how to truly communicate what you're doing, what your mission is, what your solution is besides yourself. And even if you do hire someone to make the fun skits and the TikTok videos, it is still important that here and there you're bringing in your insight and that you're connecting with your audience. We all know social media speaks very, very different languages, and everyone's a little bit in the know. And if you aren't, it's kind of like an entire world that you have to get back into. Think of people who literally aren't on Instagram or on TikTok. They don't know what's going on. You have to build an entire world for your audience to step into, especially if you want to build a loyal audience that is constantly rooting for you and eventually turning into a customer. Think of streamers versus YouTubers. Streamer world, I don't really know what's going on over there unless I see the converted mini TikTok clips. The people who spend their entire lives on streams, they actually are part of this entire world, and they are so loyal to those streamers. If you look at all of the best creators, the most successful ones, the Alex Earls, the Monet McMichaels, they are all very well at creating a world that their audience can step into. Their audience knows everything that's going on in their lives, and there is a certain language that they speak that not everyone understands. There is no way of developing an if you know kind of bond with your audience unless you're chronically online. So back when I would use music in my content, I would reach out to editors to have them create a video for a launch of mine. 4 or 5 years later, you have actual major companies like Lionsgate, movie companies reposting edits on their official pages because they see the type of power that it holds. But I wouldn't have seen this massive opportunity if it weren't for being chronically online. As a founder, you need to be in the know. Hang out where your audience is, study the language, study the humor, study their pain points, because this will all turn around and become your content pillars. And there are a lot of people who are chasing virality, or they think virality is the key to success. You don't need virality, you need community, and you need consistency. And if you'd like to hear more specifically about content creation for business, I have a video just for that, and I'll be sure to link it down below. Step 4 is going to be becoming a proud founder. If there's one thing I wish I did a lot sooner, it would be this. You are your business's biggest fan, and you simply must be. I have one really great example of this, and that's going to be REFY. There is a level of confidence that you have to instill within yourself when basically putting yourself out there. You're basically putting yourself out there to say, hey, buy this product. It kind of takes it to an entire new level when you are turning yourself into your brand's basically mascot. Jess Hunt is one of the best examples of this because she has found a way to REFY everything in this world. REFY is actually a beauty brand. I think it's more focused on soft makeup, runway makeup, but she has found a way to have REFY napkins, REFY coffee cups, REFY surfboards, REFY towels. Whenever you're on her feed, there is something REFY, and I think there's something so refreshing about that because you are truly your brand's number one hype man. You should be repping it every single day. You should be proud of what you're building. And no, you don't have to just tote around your hero product, because our hero product is a hood job. I can have veilstreet rings. I can have veilstreet dog tags, because these are other things that represent me and that I find interest in. And why not slap your logo onto every single thing? Why not have stickers? Why not have tote bags? And why not find ways, and not just for the sake of having them, but so that you're making sure no matter what the day is, no matter what you're wearing, you're repping your brand every single day. And I have found that to significantly improve my life because I also have reason to talk about my brand every single day. There are some days where I don't wear the hood job. I don't wear it every single day. It's meant for when I'm on the go and don't have the time to want to get myself together. But every single day since we launched our Sabar and Salah tote bags, I wear that bag every single day. I think I've been wearing it every day since November of 2024, and I have yet to swap out bags, and it's kind of insane. But even if I need to do a last minute grocery run, I'm repping my brand, and it's like, it's kind of invisible because you kind of forget that it's there, but then someone approaches you and they're like, oh, your bag, like, where'd you get that? Or what does Sabar mean? I know what Salah means, and I get to start an entire conversation. It's kind of like an action that's at the back of your mind. It plays as such a massive reminder, not just to people who are seeing this and seeing me post my bag every single day, but to myself, like, oh yeah, I do this. I rep my brand and I rep it loudly. Now I want to have a veilstreet tumbler. Now I want to have veilstreet pillowcases. I want to have veilstreet everywhere. Outside of just repping the product, this is delivering a certain message. It's reminding you every single day to share what you're building and sharing it loudly. A further essential point of being a proud founder is sharing the behind the scenes, not just the wins, also the losses, and showing your audience that you're building this together and you don't have everything figured out. Hence me chatting to you guys right now. If you really pay attention to where people put their dollars, they aren't buying products, they're buying beliefs. belief, whether that's incredible belief in yourself or a massive audience that believes in what you're building. So being a proud founder, Jess Hunt, she is not just a founder. She carries her entire brand energy. Rep your brand, be proud, find ways to implement it into every single thing. These are the things that truly stand out and again, build a world that your audience can step into. Essentially, find ways to proudly be the face of your brand. Step number 5 would be to become more obsessed with your audience than your competitors or anyone else really. Once you're creating that world for everyone to step into, you also deeply have to nurture it. So that means reading every DM, reading every comment, responding to these comments, and making it clear that you're building with and for your audience. Especially when you are seeking sales, it gets really tricky to kind of obsess with getting as many eyes instead of nurturing the eyes that you do have. And you kind of have to find the balance. Like, it's a bit of a challenge figuring out the balance between seeking new customers and catering to your audience or catering to the customers that you already have. A lot of the times in business, it's so easy to get to a point where you're just constantly seeking new customers and chasing virality instead of seeing the power of circling back. One thing I'll say as a product-based business owner, there is nothing more satisfying than a second-time customer. Like, a first-time customer is like, wow, oh my gosh, you took a chance on me. And I am really excited about that. Don't get me wrong. Who isn't excited about a sale? There is uncertainty because it's their first time. You don't know how they're going to react. They could love it. They could hate it. You can't assume that when you operate a business, the whole world will love what you do. But when I have a second-time customer, there's something special about it. There is something special about that. It's truly a feeling that feels like no other because not only did you give me a chance the first time, but you actually loved it and came back. That tells me everything I need to know. You have just reaffirmed what I'm doing. You've told me to keep going, and I'm actually making a difference in your life. So don't underestimate the power of circling back and don't just seek to get as many eyes as possible. There is so much power in taking the time to reach out to your community that has been there for years. And I think this year has truly shown that and has truly shown me the power of appreciating the returning community because I had an influx of comments one day. I randomly opened our TikTok account and I have commenters, that aren't just discovering my videos, but like these are people who basically rediscovered me and they were like, yeah, I bought this product years ago. I love it. And they were also responding to other people's comments, which I have never felt that. As a business owner, you are the one sort of repping your business the most. To now be someone who's operating long enough where I have customer testimonials and I have people who have tried my product for years and they're like, oh no, like I've had this for a while, like it lasts, it does this. They're speaking on my behalf or they're just speaking about their experiences. That was truly magical. I made an entire post about it. I then went on to message them and thank them for number one, supporting the vision way back when. The fact that you loved it tells me that we're going in the right direction. And I made sure to offer them a thank you code. It really moves you in such a way that I can't describe because like, okay, you're one of us. Like, you get it. Like, you're an OG. Are you joking? Once you start to get that traction, no matter how small, really make sure you're taking the time to nurture your connection with every single person. It is going to be time consuming and it is going to be very difficult to keep up with. I can't say I keep up with it as much as I want to. I always want to find ways to improve, but there is something special about that. So if there's any way that you can, especially in the early stages, nurture those connections, try to get as many reviews and testimonials as you can. Don't underestimate the power of someone circling back because it is a lot better in business to have a second-time customer than first-time customer. This step is the one that I really want to land, really want this to stick with you because this was the whole point of me making this video. Like, this one step is the reason why I had to come up with all the other steps to make it an actual full-on video. The top 2 things I would prioritize if I were starting a business again is people and product. That's it. I'm rushing to that and I'm forgetting about everything else. People have a hard time really launching the business because they overcomplicate it and they get stuck in the planning mode. They get stuck on their logo. Some people are starting their tax filings way too early. They get stuck in all the things that they feel like they must do instead of actually jumping into things. And the best in business are those who are quick to execute. You have to understand that you will never, and I'm gonna never say never kind of, yeah, I believe anything is possible. But in this case, you will never in your life launch a perfect product from start. You simply must jump into things, get it out there, get the word out there, focus on people and product, and then refine. It doesn't matter how many years you work behind the scenes and try to create the perfect item until you actually put it out there and you hear feedback about it sucking or ways it can be better. You will never truly create the strongest business from the very beginning. I'm scratching everything else that you could possibly think about doing for your business. And the first thing I'm doing is running to build an audience, which is social media, and getting a product out there because you want something tangible people can actually buy, and you want to capture people. And the best two ways to do that is social media and, of course, a host website to collect emails. The only thing I would think through, because we had to face this, is your business name. I still say rush into it, be messy, be public, and figure it out along the way. But your name is something you should think about a little bit, because when I went into this, I was mainly focused on the product. I never really sat back and thought about what I wanted my name to be or how we'd build our legacy. And in the end, that bit us in the end and cost thousands of dollars and a bunch of rebranding, which is also why I have customers that are rediscovering me because they still know me as hijabi or hijabi shop. So I would say think through that just a little bit more than everything else. But the top two things you need to prioritize is getting a product, having something tangible people can buy, putting your item out there, and gaining your audience as quickly as possible. Everything else will figure itself out along the way, but you don't have a business unless you have people and products. Sales solve all. It doesn't matter what is going on in your business. Genuinely doesn't matter how unique of an experience you're having. Sales are the answer to everything, and the easiest way to have sales is not going to sales school or taking a class in sales, but it is going to be generating a product that you can truly rep. If you are able to create a product that you're obsessed with, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. You are truly passionate about this. You are unshakable, and selling something that you're obsessed with makes it a lot easier. One, you're obsessed with it. No one can change your mind. You have reason to have true belief in what you're building. And number two, because you're obsessed with it and because you understand what you're building, you're able to deliver the message better than anyone else. And this is why all the other steps are essential. Being chronically online, if you aren't online, you aren't going to be able to really know the language of social media, but also how to find your people. Sales solves all of your problems, and the best way to have sales is to create a product that you are obsessed with and inevitably create a product that the world is obsessed with. And this is something I definitely wish I knew a lot sooner. You will get played in business. You will get played in business, and you have to learn to proceed with caution. You have to know how to run a strict program. I love that everyone's talking about running a strict program in 2026, yada, 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 yada. It's been a strict program over here. We run it like the Navy, but it wasn't always like this. I had to learn the very hard way that, especially when you're running a business, you can't be Miss Nice and nice, Miss Nice at all. Like, everything can't be nice, nice, nice. I'm not saying you need to be an evil person to operate business, but I am saying you have to have boundaries. I call mine an alter ego. I like to have my CEO alter ego, because if I am not demanding answers, if I am not demanding quality service, especially for something that I'm paying for, if I'm not crossing my T's and dotting my I's, people will slip up and you will get played in business. And a lot of the times, the craziest business mishaps happen when you have like co-founder or you're in business with family. I can confirm, even as a solo founder, you can still get played in business, and this can happen in so many avenues, whether it's a manufacturer playing you, contractors that you work with for other outsourcing, tax mishaps. Yes, that can happen even when you pay a professional. The sad part is, especially in a post-COVID society, you can pay for a service and it's still subpar. The people don't care about quality, so you have to not only do extensive research on the front end and make sure you're vetting and sourcing the right people. You're basically inviting them into your business. But even after the process, you need to cross your T's, dot your I's, get used to getting every question answered. Never leave things on the table or unsaid, or just assume that things will work out without being sure of yourself. One example I have of this, which is actually super minuscule, recently went to go print our business cards. I tried out a new service because I typically go online where I'll do Vistaprint or whatever is super easy. I thought those were really the only ways to get your cards printed until I started visiting a new UPS store, and the worker in there would always say, you know, we offer printing services, we can do same day, we can do cheaper for the typical online service, and I thought I would give it a try. I went to the store, I came up with my new design, and I was super excited. And when I got there was a bit of a line because people were getting things notarized, and I had to wait. And once it became my turn, because of the type of day it was, the old version of me would have rushed to get my needs and leave, because, you know, there's a line. I want to get to other people. The new version of me, I waited my turn. The others can wait their turn too. I asked every question. I asked about different types of feels for the cards. Like, sometimes there's matte, sometimes there's different thicknesses. I also asked to see the different size references just to see how theirs would look. Even when we wrapped things up, when I walked out the store, I remember the guy who helped me was writing something down. He said a number out loud, and I was like, what did he mean by that? Like, does he think that's how many cards I'm printing? I hope there wasn't a mix up. And it was a short difference. It was like a 5 count difference. But I was like, I feel uneasy. I'm going to ask. So I immediately sent him an email because I just emailed him my design. And I say, hi, you said this number. Can you confirm that we're printing this many cards? I want to be sure. And he was like, yeah, no, like that number was for the paper that you chose. And I was like, okay, thank you. But certain things like this, I have learned the hard way. And I wish someone told me this a long time ago. Even if you're paying for a service, even if you're paying a professional, you still need to make sure things are done correctly. And it's not always going to be. Obviously, when it comes to business partnerships or collaborations or contracting with someone or manufacturers, which I have a very detailed video about finding manufacturers, samples, because that can easily be a big money hole, like a big money pot. But I will say you can do a lot of research before working with a contractor or partnering with someone in business. That doesn't always happen when you're going to professional, especially in a field that you're not familiar with. So you need to make sure you're checking things. You're also asking for the other options, because sometimes you'll pay for a service, they're not even telling you all the options that are out there. Like, there are so many things that I wish I had just asked back then instead of assuming they were doing things in my best interest, because it could have saved me thousands. Running a very, very strict program, asking all the questions you need to ask, and even when things go left, instead of sitting in a corner and boohoo crying, figuring out what can we do, what are the answers, and where are my reparations. For example, we just had our launch, and I thought I planned for every buffer. Like, I gave customs enough time, shipping enough time. I gave everyone all the time they needed. We started production at the end of October. We didn't launch until November with the ship date of end December. I'd say that's a pretty lengthy time, and I'm giving time for anything that could go wrong, especially because I am very sensitive to our knee length collection. If you're new here, the last time we released those was November of 22, and it was literally stolen from us. And I had a whole business hiatus, and I basically went into a dark hole and stopped operating. So this is literally our second launch since starting business again. And I wanted to make sure, like, there's nothing that could go wrong. There's absolutely nothing that could go wrong. And yet again, I have a situation where it's like a manufacturer's first time experiencing this. And I'm like, I'm tired of being a first time. Like, I'm tired of being a one and, but it's one of those things that are like, it's one of those things that are inevitable. And part of me kind of understands why there are so many businesses who are like, tariffs and we're shutting down operations. And listen, I don't even want to know what's coming once my shipment gets here, but I will say, as someone who has been doing product-based businesses since like 2019, I do see a difference. It's tough. Like, the export import has been rough. We're pushing through. We're pushing through, especially if we're going to have enough stock to last us through the winter. But this is the first time I've ever seen this. Our sea shipment got here before the express shipment. I have no words. But this was a very disappointing time. What do you mean? I promised my customers a date, and I actually internally planned to surprise them with an earlier ship date, got their stuff shipped via express, had the rest of the massive shipment shipped by sea, which we all know sea shipments just take forever. They actually go untracked and then they just show up in the US. So like, the sea shipment somehow made it here before the express shipment that was shipped on December 15th. It's January 12th. The express shipment is still, but alhamdulillah, the sea shipment got to the US port yesterday. I found a way to track the ship. So there's that. Anyways, in this situation, typically, you're boo crying, you're freaking out what you can do. I wasn't getting enough answers I needed to get. Yes, the express shipment, fine, MIA, sent back by customs, but I need to have other definite answers. I need to have something to present to my customers. I need to have ETAs. Finding the ship was a part of that. Demanding answers from my manufacturers was a part of that. Where am I going to get reparations? Because also, we paid a hefty fund to get those products shipped via express. This is business. Feelings aside, haha, hee, bestie aside, I do need answers, and I, at the end of the day, did pay for a service. So I am going to need something that makes up for it. I don't know. There's something about being a Karen. It's kind of wonderful. Obviously, I'm not terrorizing the lives of others, but I am saying, especially when you're paying for a service, you cannot accept subpar. And unfortunately, we live in a post-COVID world. The people don't care about perfection and they don't care about the details. But for me, I am going to say something. But we had our photo shoots, and both times, guys, both photo shoots, because they were back to back in different locations, the people that hosted us for the shoot were unprepared. And I'm a little confused because if you book a studio, you got to pay for the lights, You gotta pay for the backdrops. Now it doesn't come with it, which I'm like, back when I was used to doing my photo shoots, it was like that. So I don't know what changed. If I come to a shoot and that's not prepared, that's cutting into my time. It's one thing if I have to just set it up. One of the locations, I couldn't find it. The backdrop was nowhere to be seen, but you charged me for it. And they're like, oh, let us know when you're ready to use it and we'll send someone up. No, I booked a time, have the backdrop ready for when I arrive, because now you're cutting into my time and I want that time back. Versus at the studio, they had like 10 different lights. They're all different lights. I don't understand these lights, right? But I do know that when I walked in, she was like, yeah, those 3 lights are yours. I turned on the first light, got it. I turned on the second light, got it. The third light, I'm like, I mean, it's not that hard to plug it. And then I called them in to assist me. And she's like, oh no, like you didn't buy that light. You can't use that one. So you actually have to switch the one that you can use and screw it on to the stand. Excuse me? Why? If I am only allowed to use what I paid for, why is it not readily available? Why do I have to then take off the other package I didn't pay for? And like, these are the things, I know it sounds nitpicky. I know it sounds little, like making sure the right amount of business cards are printed, making sure no questions go unanswered, and never assuming the best, because unfortunately, I'm not a pessimist. But in a post-COVID world, even if you're paying professionals, they can still flop. They can still flop, but you have to realize that it still comes back to you. It's your business. It's your baby. It's what you're building. My customers don't care about customs sending that shipment back. My customers don't care about what the manufacturers are doing. It all comes back to me. It all comes back to me. So it is up to me to run a very strict program, to run a Navy, to run it like the Navy over here. I have to not play, because everyone else will play in your face. You will get played in business, and you have to run a very tight ship, because it all comes back to you. This last step, I never hear anyone talking about when it comes to business, but I don't want to sound like those girls that are like, oh, you should have a journal, because I surely don't journal every single day. I used to think I was the kind of person who could never journal. I may journal once a month. That on a good year. I think I typically journal when drastic things are happening, but I do think you should have a business journal. I say this because you should be documenting your journey. Yes, we all know this already. If you want to thrive in business, be on social media, but also be authentic, share the BTS. But as a business owner, the realest and most raw version of yourself, only your journal can see this. And I truly believe, especially journaling significant times in business, the night before a launch, right before your first social media post, all of these significant moments where you can talk about your feelings, talk about the nerves, talk about your expectations, and pretty much write to your future self. And the reason why I realized the importance of this is because I actually had a moment where I just said we took a hiatus, we stopped business for a while, first time reintroducing this knee-length collection that we were robbed of. These are very sensitive and trying times for me. And I had a moment in October. I was a little distressed. I was a little bothered. And I'm not even gonna say a little. It was tough, And I remembered a random journal entry. And I was like, wait a minute. There was a time in June of 2024, we weren't operating. And I said to myself in the journal, when you're in the thick of it, when you're in flow state and you're doing business again and things get hot, and you're putting out fires every single day, and it's just all stress, you're just constantly doing things. Be so thankful that you're in that and you have so many things to work towards and to strive towards and to cater to. Be thankful for that rush instead of a life full of no direction and stillness, pretty much, if I'm just summarizing, because of what I felt like at the time. And it's so crazy because we all know running a business is tough. Especially a product-based business. You know the amount of tech founders that are like, yeah, I would never do product-based business. You're going to lose so much money. Like, it's tough. It is tough. So having a journal, writing to your future self to not only keep you grounded, but to remember where you started and to keep you on your path and to also just appreciate all of it, because you are in a constant state of striving towards goals and constantly improving yourself and constantly going through so much personal development that you forget all of it, and you also forget why you're doing it in the first place. So having a journal, I'm not going to say you're journaling every single day because you're busy running a business, but journaling, especially before significant times, night before a launch, a letter to yourself a year from now with certain targets that you want to hit makes a big difference. And I kind of wish I had this for myself when I first started, because do I truly remember what state of mind I was in at that time? No, I remember the pictures and the videos that I made. It means so much to kind of have a dose of the past you, but also have an anthem of encouragement for the future you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. These are my bits of advice that will aid you in building the next big business, and 2026 is your year. I'm super excited for you. If you want to know how to knock out social media for your business, check out this video right here. And if you want to especially make sure you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's when it comes to manufacturing, check out this video right here. I also have my socials linked down below. Make sure to leave a follow. We're on everything and the same @ for everything. So I'll see you guys there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao.